everyone, Amy Balzer-Tennant here, the Genealogy Reporter. And in today's episode of Walkthrough Wednesday, we're talking about the website called Century of Lawmaking. This website might be important to you because you may find one of your ancestors listed in one of the private laws. Or maybe a public law answers one of the questions you have in your family history as to why grandma and grandpa moved out to such and such a place, or why they had money or why they didn't, or why somebody was in jail. I mean, the list really goes on and on. There's a lot of information to be gleaned from statutes at large and state session laws, resolutions, and so forth. And this website, Century of Lawmaking for a New Nation, is just one of the really cool things that you can find online for free from home. So let's go over to the computer, get on this website, and see what's there for you. We are at the website, A Century of Lawmaking for a New Nation. This website is created by the Library of Congress, and it is free and accessible to everyone. As you can see, there are quite a few different things here. Journals of the Continental Congress, letters of delegates, House journals, Senate journals, bills, statutes at large, all these different things. And you might be thinking, how is this going to help me with my genealogy research or my family history? Well, you'd be surprised. There are a lot of bills and resolutions, in particular private acts and resolutions, that name your ancestors as well as family members. They give stories about their situation, why this act or bill or resolution was created. The same goes for statutes at large. So we're going to take a look at some of these and how they might help you with your family history, especially between the years of about 1789 to 1875 timeframe. So today we're going to take a look at statutes at large. We're going to click there and you'll read that a statute at large. This is every law, public or private, ever enacted by the Congress is published in books called statutes at large. And typically, for the most part, they are arranged chronologically by date. Some of the volumes of statutes at large will cover 2 years, some quite a few more years. We have a couple ways to look through the statutes at large. We can browse them. We can browse their page headings, or we could search this collection, or rather search this title through the collection search page. So let's see what happens when we browse statutes at large. Well, you can see here that we have volumes 1 through 18 on this website. That covers the years of 1789 to 1875. And you'll notice some of the volumes have a list of private acts like this in volume 9. But some of them don't. And that's because initially they weren't publishing the private acts. They were just doing the public acts. And so they did go back and eventually cover those private acts. And you can see that down here in volume 6, where it says the dates are 1789, and there's a list of private acts. So let's take a look at that list of private acts. Okay, now a private act, if you haven't learned what that is yet or haven't heard about those, that is a law that has been passed for one individual. It might be something like someone had lost some cattle or a barn or even their home, something that happened during the Revolutionary War. A widow did not get her pension, so the government is giving them some sort of relief. There might be a dower disagreement, a discharge from an imprisonment might be something like that. Lots of different options. So let's just look here. We've got an act for the relief of Thomas Jenkins and Company. We've got an act for the relief of Nathaniel Twining, John Stewart and John Davidson. There's something there. And we can go down through and look at each one of these private acts by going to the next image, and we can go page by page looking for anything that might have to do with one of our ancestors. Now, obviously, we're going through quite a bit of work by going page by page and looking for something. It's not really user-friendly, is it? So this is a little more difficult, but definitely worth the time if you're interested in finding some more information about your ancestor. Let's go back to our list here. And I'm going to show you that instead of looking at the list of private acts in Volume 6, instead, let's look at the index of names. Now, in this case, there's a lot of names in here. We could go one by one, looking for them, looking for our ancestor. Now, let's say that we found our person. Let's say our ancestor is Thomas Barkley. It says that we're going to find the private act on page 72. We can scroll up and put that in here, and it will take us directly to that page. Here it is, that the proper accounting officers of the Treasury be, and they are hereby authorized to liquidate and settle the account of Thomas Barkley, deceased, and that they allow for his services while he acted as vice consul in France a salary at the rate of $1,000 per annum, and that while he acted as consul, commercial agent, commissioner of public accounts in Europe, and was engaged in negotiating the treaty concluded with the Emperor of Morocco in 1787, so that's 1787, they allow a salary, and it goes on and on and on, and then it is approved April 18th, 1808. Now, if your ancestor is Thomas Barkley of this time frame, and you knew that there was some sort of interest in France, that he did something for the government in there, this might be something that you'd like to have. It also notes that he is deceased at least by April 18th, 1808. Now, I did another search for an ancestor, Thomas Flynn. He's found on page 57. And if you scroll down, you'll see that the sum of $518 with interest from the 15th of January, 1793, that's 1793, be allowed to the widow of Thomas Flynn, an interpreter and guide who was killed with Colonel John Harding while employed in bearing messages of peace to hostile Indians in the year 1792. So here's an allowance being given to the widow of Thomas Flynn. So we know that this Thomas Flynn, our ancestor, was married. We know that he had children because it says that these monies would be for the use of herself, the widow, and the orphan children. We also learned that he was killed in the Indian War of 1792. Trying to find a death date or even a death year and having proof of that is sometimes very hard to find in the 1700s. So this provides us with a death year and a record for proof. Our statutes at large page. And let's see how this search works, where we can search this title through the collection search page. I found that it does help. So let's say that you're interested in anything on this website. That means anything that happened in Congress, sessions, chambers, and you're looking for your ancestor's name. So I'm going to put in Presley Thornton and click search. 76 items with those exact words, Presley Thornton, appear. 24 of the items contain the words Presley Thornton near each other. They give you kind of a breakdown of what you're looking at. This is a list of 20 on this first page. 20 items out of 100. And if you look down through here, we see several bills and resolutions. We see a House journal, a Senate executive journal. We can go to the next page down here. More House journals and so forth. You can see the years. And you'll note that on the previous page, things for this case were happening as early as 1797, but as late as 1840s. even in 1851. So let's look down through here. Let's look at this one, number 6. This is just a little snippet of what the bill said, but we want to look at it. We want to look at the original. For the relief of the heirs and legal representatives of Captain Presley Thornton, deceased, be it enacted by the Senate, House of Representatives of the United States of America, and Congress assembled. Okay, go down through here. Required to pay to the heirs and legal representatives of Presley Thornton, late a captain of the Continental Line of the Army of the United States in the Revolutionary War, 5 years full pay, being the commutation of the half pay for the life promised by the resolves of Congress to such as should serve to the end of the war. This is great. Think DAR, okay? This is a great piece of evidence to submit if you're trying to get into the DAR for Presley Thornton. Take a look back here at these dates. This bill was first heard in the House on February 10th, 1797. I went down through several of these and found that in April the 30th, 1832, and you definitely want to take a look at everything that pertains to Presley Thornton's case, okay? We're going to look down through here. Let me show you what this said. I'm going to click on the page image. Notice that Presley Thornton is in bold print, so I know it appears on this page. Click page image. And what is so neat about this is right here at the top, Mr. John S. Barber presented a petition of Francis A. Thornton and Eliza P. Gwynn, children and only heirs at law of the late Presley Thornton. Ah, that is fantastic. Francis A. Thornton and Eliza P. Gwynn, children and only heirs at law. Now, that does not necessarily mean that Presley did not have other children. It means that at this time, that those were the 2 heirs at law. You can use this record as evidence that Francis A. Thornton is the son of Presley Thornton, and Eliza P. Gwynn is his daughter. This might also indicate, you'd have to do a little more research on that there is no widow for Presley. So perhaps the mother has already passed away by this time. It doesn't necessarily mean that Presley didn't have other children. He could have, but the only 2 who were living at this time, the heirs at law, were these 2. So isn't that neat? That is really great. Parental relationship between these individuals. And notice that, we had to look at all of the records pertaining to Presley Thornton's private act to be able to come to this one where we got the names of his children. So make sure that you try this variation of searching where you check for a specific name in all the page titles and headings and so forth. Now, I will tell you that this is not a for sure thing. Your ancestor could be listed in there and their name was spelled differently or something along that. Maybe they had an alias. And so in those cases where you think that might be a possibility, you definitely want to go page by page here where you can browse the statutes at large for any of the years you think your ancestor was alive. So join me in our next video where we're going to talk about the bills and resolutions and what those might hold and how you'll use them for your family history. Thanks for joining me today on Walk Through Wednesday, where we go into a website to learn more about what it might hold for us in our family history and genealogy research. Don't forget to like and share this video and leave me a comment below. Thanks and have a great day.